Man, 3.18 Sentinel League is already shaping up to be, for me, a very, very exciting one. And if you saw the preview video that I talked about yesterday, my initial thoughts, the number one thing that I was really, really excited about in terms of at least build-related stuff is the Impossible Escape unique jewel that was designed by Steel Mage along with GGG. Since cluster jewels were added to the game, people have actually been talking about this for quite a while. And I think this implementation of it is really, really clever. There's been this idea for a wormhole type of jewel in the game that allows you to, like, you know, maybe teleport where your passive tree is going, and say you're in one corner, you can actually like use the jewel and teleport up to the other side and start putting your pieces together, right? With the Impossible Escape, you can now have a small circle of, it's like a threshold jewel, basically for specific keystones on the passive tree that then you can allocate passive nodes from that keystone and within a small radius. The way that I'm thinking about this is basically like a super anointment, right? We already have anoints on our amulets and, you know, body armor, gloves, and boots if you have the other blight uniques. And instead of being able to anoint just one thing, you can anoint, you know, everything in a radius. Will this break the game or be like absolutely bonkers crazy? Probably not, but I think there are some specific keystones here that are really, really powerful that we should look out for. And especially for you traders out there, I wanted to highlight the ones that to me look like they're very powerful, might be worth the most, you know, early on in the league. And just like the stuff that you could set up your early trade searches for, or the stuff that you might want to look out for your specific build. Yeah, so last night I actually had trouble falling asleep because I was just sitting here brainstorming and thinking about this. What I had done actually is I took a screenshot from the announcement video, which shows a small threshold jewel, and I took my POB, I zoomed it in to like the exact same zoom level, and I was just kind of moving this over, and I took this to Photoshop and I was doing some estimations there. And of course, the community was ahead of me, and the very first thing that I see when I wake up is someone already did this. And they posted a picture with the images, and then someone went even further. This Aggie XX guy, absolute legend, gives us some code that we can put into POB. So with that code, we can copy paste it into this file here, passivetreeview.lua. The instructions are in that Reddit thread there. And you just put this code right here, draw ring overlays for Impossible Escape. Put that right above the draw ring overlays for jewel sockets, save it, restart your POB. If you update your POB, it will overwrite this file. So this is just a temporary change. We get these circles when we mouse over all of our keystones. So what I did is I typed in keystone in the search box down here. And as I mouse over all of these, it will show me the circle, and we can get a good little estimation for the stuff that we can allocate. Absolutely incredible. Definitely give that person a ton of credit. Thank you so much. This saves me a lot of time. So the community is so spectacular and amazing. Also, there's a ton of keystones here. We're just going to go over the honorable mentions here that I think are very interesting. I would also love, if I miss anything, definitely let me know in the comments below. We're in that exploratory phase, but I think this is a very important step if we want to be prepared for next league and, you know what to be looking out for. This is the thing that I keep talking about, right? Like, remember Ashes of Stars and Crystallized Omniscience and how strong they were, but also talking about how undervalued they were. Now, I don't think this is going to be undervalued off the bat. You do have to do an Uber boss just for it to drop, but there may be specific ones that are underpriced or undervalued, or, you know, just ones to look out for your specific build. All right, we got to start off with the super obvious god tier, ridiculously good one. Now, I'm assuming that this is just the same as regular threshold jewels that we have, you know, things like Intuitive Leap. They won't allow us to allocate masteries, so we're not going to look at the masteries at all. I think 99.99% chance cannot allocate masteries. The easiest way that we can start to look at this is what is really valued already in terms of anointments. What is the number one anointment that so many builds, that it's already expensive, right? GGG knows triple golden oil. This is the most expensive anointment in the game. Whispers of Doom right here. You can apply an additional curse. We can grab Reservation Efficiency right here. We can go for Spell Poison with Serpentine Spellslinger, which is pretty cool. And Arcane Sanctuary is actually really, really good. Increase spell damage, avoid elemental ailments, avoid being stunned, all while holding a shield, spell block, all that type of stuff. This will be very, very valuable, especially for something like a Righteous Fire Inquisitor, or really any Inquisitor build that is using a shield. So all those builds that like those totem builds, everything with an Aegis Aurora that is, doing melding the flesh and all those things, and you want to be even tankier, look at this one, right? Chaos Inoculation, Arcane Sanctuary, Whispers of Doom. I think this is going to be, if not the most expensive of all of the impossible escapes, it's going to be one of the most ones. So definitely take a look out, have a search up for the Chaos Inoculation Impossible Escape. Next up, I would go with Iron Reflexes here. This might be the most expensive one going into the next league because of Panopticon. Obviously, all of the totem builds really, really love this. EA Ballista, all those guys, it's going to be a very meta build. The meta, at least at the beginning of the league, I think the meta of 318 is going to be very, very similar. Not too many changes there. Panopticon is the #1 node for PoE Ninja DPS warriors. And just in general, if you want to really juice your single target damage with a melee build, you use Panopticon. We have Ancestral Warchief and Ancient Protector. Those totems make you do more melee damage and faster melee damage. And if you've never played a melee build before, it is the single highest way to juice your single target damage. Not to mention, we also get Adamant, which is a very, very good node. 25% increased armor, remove bleeding, corrupted blood, and guard skills 25% duration. Really, really good nodes there. Hematophagy, hopefully I'm saying that correctly, is really good if you don't have to travel to it. Life recovery, damage while leeching, all really, really good. Personally, I think Doomsday looks like it might be a bit of a standout. Being able to take all of Heart of Ice and Breath of Rime is really, really nice for a lot of builds. People right now will take like a Thread of Hope right here, and they'll try to, sneak getting one of these guys based on the Thread of Hope that they take. With the Doomsday one, you can just allocate all of these and save all of the travel points there, especially for cold-based builds, right? That might be down here, especially, anything that's doing like a Hatred, Fizz to Cold conversion, any like cold attack-based build. You can then just put in that one jewel socket and take all of this increased cold damage, get the pen, right? You're not anointing Heart of Ice, anything like that. I think that's pretty cool, having access to that entire cluster there. In addition to that, you can grab Ravenous Horde, where traditionally, if you are a minion-based build, you very often will be going down here or over here. But if you can just grab this Doomsday Jewel, you can grab all of Ravenous Horde, give your minions a bunch of attack and movement speed, not to mention Onslaught for your minions. This is pretty cool. You don't have to worry about anointing it or anything. Definitely be on the lookout for that. Any Golemoncers in chat, and I know that there are a decent number of people that like to play Golemoncers. You can get all of the Golem Commander nodes right here, and you can take Ravenous Horde in addition without having to travel up there, which makes it a lot more comfortable to go to the minion nodes down here and the minion nodes over here without wanting to stretch up to Golem Commander or Ravenous Horde, which is pretty interesting. So as you know, Charisma is one of the most anointed notables on the passive tree. Just being able to grab that with Supreme Ego, as well as grabbing Replenishing Remedies without having to travel up there, and Taste for Blood. Attack damage leeches life, maximum life recovery per second, and life gained on hit. Just for being able to grab that is really, really nice. Not to mention, you can just grab Dire Torment for a single passive, even if you're not doing ailments from critical strikes. Being able to sneak that 40% crit chance for a single point at that point is probably pretty nice if you just have something throwaway there. I'm really interested in Supreme Ego specifically as someone who plays over on this side of the tree quite a bit. So there's often a lot of pressure for the pathing choices that we make here. So for example, I'm playing a Poisonous Concoction Pathfinder, possibly next league. Get subscribed below if you want to know. The patch notes have had me really rethinking what my league starter is going to be. And there is another very safe league starter that I love that I'm like 50-50 on going towards due to the changes announced yesterday. But enough of that. If we're talking about my Poisonous Concoction Pathfinder, there is a lot of contention for the best way to path here, right? And so often we want to go right towards, flash duration. We want to go towards the poison stuff here. And we kind of want to path around the outside and get up to spell suppression, poison. Very often people will go up to Ghost Dance and Soul Thief, right? So if you notice with this pathing, it gets kind of uncomfortable to get over here, right? And you'll very often see people kind of go in here. They'll grab Revenge of the Hunted. And even from here, I think this is a very interesting interpretation of what you might want to do with the Impossible Escape, is even if I pathed all the way over to Revenge of the Hunted and took Void Barrier by, for example, just taking 2 extra points here, grabbing Impossible Escape, that gives me Supreme Ego, Normally, right, I would path 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 just to get charisma, and 1, 2, 3 to get replenishing remedies, right? Instead, I can anoint 2 here, and then I just have, instead of, an 8 total points, I have 2, 3, 4, right? This saves me 4 passive points. As long as I'm not super tight on the reservation efficiency and I'm not super tight on the flash charges, I will now, even though I'm really close here, have access to really good notables that just saves me a lot of travel points that I just really didn't want to go into. Now I can comfortably also take Taste for Blood if I want to get some more life gain on hit, which will then free up a mastery slot for myself. A lot of people, their first reaction here is just to look at the really big jumps and just say, hey, I want to look at the stuff on the opposite side of the tree. What I'm really excited about is look at existing builds that might just have some uncomfortable travel points that you're kind of in the realm of. But, for example, right, if I didn't grab Revenge of the Hunted here, this is an additional 2 travel points that I would save. And then maybe I could go for more life nodes somewhere else, right? Like maybe I go into Written in Blood, and then I can go for a hybrid build, right? This really plays around with the equation for the opportunity cost for the different nodes that you might be willing to travel for. And, especially at higher investments of builds, just saving 4 to 8 passive points for different travels, that's a whole nother cluster jewel, right? That will just let us really push these builds to a whole nother level, which is really, really exciting. Definitely be on the lookout for keystones that are just already in your area, and take existing builds that you're playing around with. Look for those travel nodes that you might feel a little uncomfortable about, and see if there's maybe just an impossible escape that might be really appealing to you, that just saves you 4 to 8 travel nodes that will just give you access to more power in the game. All right, just 1 or 2 more. Iron Grip. Not only do you get access to Totemic Zeal, totem placement speed, attack and spell cast with totems, really, really good. You have to save a lot of travel there with that. You get more than half of the Scion life wheel. You get access to Constitution all the way up to Path of the Warrior. This is obviously crazy, right? This is 25% increased maximum life. You get armor, you get base strength, you get another flat 20 life on there. Constitution is one of the best life nodes on the entire tree. And being able to spend 2 points to have access to this tree right here is just really, really, really strong. Magebane is also out of control. Actually, I think all of these Scion ones are looking really, really good, because the way that the Scion wheel is set up is it's very, very dense, because the way, she kind of starts in the location that, is kind of like general purpose, really, really good stuff. Like both Necromantic Aegis and Solipsism give you access to Foresight to Path of the Servant on this little cluster here. Normally, if you're playing a very strong ES or CI based build, this can be a very uncomfortable cluster to go for, because you're often kind of going up here, right? If you're going to CI, if you're going over to Unnatural Calm, you're necessarily going to be going around the outside of the tree. And these travel nodes going down here, they kind of feel bad, to the point where you actually find a lot of people that are going CI, they kind of skip this and they'll just grab things like energy from Not, and they'll just lean more into cluster jewels. But now, if you can get access to something like this, especially if there's something in addition for your build that you care about, maybe Solipsism or Necromantic Aegis is really nice for you. So you can just grab this and really push your ES to the next level. We'll just leave it at this one. There are plenty other ones that are really, really good. I just want to show my process of like how you can just grab this code, look at it, and start mousing over these things and interpret it. This is just really opening up the design space for the way that you can think about the pathing of your tree. This jewel, with the caveat, right? This jewel might be so freaking rare and so expensive that all of them, that it's not really something that we can actively consider, but we don't know how rare that's going to be going into the league. So just keep this in the back of your mind. Keep your trade snipes up, trying to look for those ones that might be undervalued, and see what's going to be really good for you. But I do want to leave you with Conduit here. Hired Killer, True Strike, Overcharged, Reflexes, Path of the Hunter, and all of these small nodes as well, if you care about them. Yeah, I think Conduit is an absolute standout. All right, I just counted. There are 33 keystones on there, so there are many more to go through. I'm sure there's spectacularly awesome combinations. This would be a very, very long video if we're going to go over all of them, and people will be making more discoveries and more builds as we get into 3.18. So anyway, that's enough of my rambling. Just wanted to share this really, really exciting jewel with you. Thank you, GGG, and thank you, Steel Mage. Absolutely beautifully designed unique that I can't wait to possibly not afford in 3.18. So anyway, as always, thanks for watching, and definitely get subscribed if you want more preview videos like this as I start to prepare for 3.18. See you tomorrow.